Now I'm on to the lab where you're going to mix a powder and a cream together, base powder and cream for Penn Foster. My student number is 241016CRR2. And I gathered the materials already that I need for the lab, the ointments and the scale and the wax paper, for example, and the alcohol wipes. So then now after that step, I'm going to move into the aseptic technique, the hand washing. That way everything's completely sterile for the lab. So the first step is going to be to turn on the water with the paper towel. You have to make sure it's lukewarm. You're going to apply soap. Make sure all jewelry and everything is removed first. And make sure you don't have nail polish and short trim fingernails. And in the medical field, in medical practice there, you would end up using a brush to get underneath the fingernails, but I currently don't have a brush, so I'm going to modify the lab and just get underneath manually. And then you rub your palms together, wash for about a minute, get each finger perfectly. Yep, once that's done, then wash your hands like this with the paper towel, the second paper towel. And then after that, last step with hand washing, turn off the faucet with the paper towel, throw them away, and then let these air dry. Next step after the aseptic technique, hand washing, is to don these sterile gloves here. Put them on. And then after that, clean the material. And what I already did, I did it off camera, but what I did was I weighed the powder to make sure it was the 5 milligrams. Disinfect the wax paper first. So that's that product, and then I'll show you later on the weighing, like what I did, so it makes more sense. And then I did the same thing with weighing the lotion in the cup, because for this lab I'm using some hand lotion there, and put it in that cup and disinfect the cup. So whenever you put medication in, you got to clean everything first with the alcohol wipe. And I'm going to do that with the scale here. And then for best sterilization practice here, I always get a full other fresh wipe, and this is where the final product is going to go into at the end of this demonstration here. Now that's been disinfected, and then I'm going to clean. This is the spoon I already used, and then that's where I'm going to mix everything in at the end. Now the next step, I'm just going to show you here what I did off camera, but I'll show you what the 5 and the 20 look like. That way you can see it on actual camera. And then this is already tiered, so then this should read 6, 1 plus 5. So that's 5 there. That means in good shape. And then the cup of the lotion here, it should read, yep, the 20, but because of the cup, that adds 6, but in total it is the 20, so that is correct. But I did that off camera, got the 20, but I just want to demonstrate it again and kind of explain the math regarding that. And I want to remember to say that. And then here on the paper, I took note of it. It says the hand lotion's the 20 grams, which is in that cup. And then the flour, it says the 5 grams. Next step, it's going to say have to add about half of the base cream. So I'm going to put the half in this sterile cup here. So it's going to be about 10 grams. And then I'm going to put it on the scale just so it's completely accurate here. And then the cup is an extra 5, so then I'm just going to take that into account there. So at the end it's going to say 15. And there it is, that's half of it. And then the next step is going to be to add about a third of this. So now what I'm going to do here is get my spoon, or never mind, this here, and then I'm going to divide it in thirds. Just going to break it down. Now this is approximately a third here. Scoop it in to this tool here and pour it into the cup. And then what I'm going to do next is get this spoon. Oh no, I'm going to need that. I'm going to stir this around. Until you don't notice any more of the powdery, just so it looks like a regular paste here. Yeah, that's looking good. Then what I'm going to do is get the alcohol wipe again and wipe off any excess there, and then I'm going to add in a little more. So I'm just personally going to do another third of it. And scoop it in. And then next I'm going to put in, I'd say about another half of this. That's remaining. And then I'm going to remix. And then stir it until there's no more extra powder left, until you can't see it anymore. And then now at this point I'm going to pour the rest of this into the cup. It's in there, and then I'm going to scoop the rest of the cream that's remaining into the cup. Now got the rest of the cream out of there, and I'm just going to drop this spoon. I'm just going to get the excess off of here. Place it into the cup. Then I'm going to stir the remaining powder and cream together to form the final product of the base cream and powder compound in here. And there's the finished product. And then what I'm going to do, so you could see it better, is I'm just going to put it in this jar. I'm just going to do that as an extra here. And then after that, I will show you the final cleanup process on after you compound medication. Get the excess out of the bottom. Yeah, in a perfect world it would be more of a boat style cup, but I had to use these for this lab as a modification since I don't have an actual boat cup with me. And there it is, and then I'm gonna drop these in the cup. Put them like that, and then I'll show you how to clean. There's the final product. And then what I'm going to do next is get another alcohol pad. Clean this off, and then after that I'm gonna go wash in the actual sink. And that's where I'm gonna go to now. The final part of this lab is to clean and disinfect the materials that I use to compound the medication in. So then what I'm gonna end up doing is using some household dishwasher soap in this lab, in this demonstration at the sink. And then what I'm going to do first, use the same paper towel method to turn the water on to minimize the contamination, and then, or contamination I should say, and then I'm just going to simply clean each ingredient, and I'm going to set it onto the rack right next to me here. I'm going to wipe this down, put them to the side, completely rinse out the cup. I'm going to get everything here. Set the clean product off to the side for the sink once that's done, onto the drying rack, and then I'm going to apply the same method to this cup. There's the ingredients. And then to turn the water off, paper towel again, and that's the final step of the lab.